We are live. Happy Friday.
Yes, happy Friday.
Happy Friday, everybody. I am, how am I feeling right now, Phil? I'm excited.
That's right. That's a good way to put it. You are excited.
I'm excited. Look, the one man told me, he said, when things don't go right, you got a choice. You either gonna be stressing out or you could say, how fascinating. And
That's I like it.
that
I like it.
That's what I'm gonna go with. How fascinating. So happy Friday. It's good to be here. I'm excited for us to have another Friday. I was about to say Tough Talk Tuesday. Us to have another relationship Friday talk. When y'all come in, let us know where you are tuning in from. We are excited to have this conversation. Um, it's another relationship Friday. If this is your first relationship Friday, you're going to enjoy it. We always have a good time. But we talk about all things relationship. So as y'all come in, let us know where you're tuning in from. My name is Rachel, and I am your licensed clinical social worker. And tonight's show is hosted by RDH Counseling and Consulting, where we help you become your healthiest self. So, welcome, welcome, welcome. Hey, Miss Sonia. Now, listen, this normally we can show you the comments on the screen. Verizon, it's not, I can't call it anything else but ghetto. Hey Abigail, welcome. So Verizon was ghetto today, y'all. And they were like, Verizon didn't pay their bill.
How fascinating.
How fascinating. They did not pay their bill. So now some kind of outage, shortage. So I was not able to use my laptop as I normally do. So I'm on the phone today, y'all. And we are making it do what it do. No say, yes. So when y'all come in, let us know where you are tuning in from. Oh, good, good, good. All right, so I'm learning how to use it on the phone. So we have Norfolk in the building. Um, where you tuning in from, Miss Sonia? Um, let us know where you're tuning in from. Go ahead right now, please, and share this. Go ahead and share. Go ahead and invite. Listen, we're going to have a delicious conversation today. Okay. So we got Hampton in the building. So we are talking about, I know this is a viral clip. I know everybody probably saw it. Um, Phil, when did you see it? When,
So I had heard about it, but I didn't see it until you sent it to me.
gotcha.
So I saw it earlier this week, and was shocked what I did.
Yeah, man. So for those of y'all, when you saw the picture, you might have been like, what the heck is this meme about? And had Verizon, and they better give me my money back. Had Verizon,
That's
hey,
right.
Renee is in the building. Renee, where are you joining us from? Had they not been ghetto, I wanted to Phil be able to show just a little snippet of the clip so people who
Mm,
hadn't seen it would kind of know what we're talking about. But
right.
don't even worry about it. We are going to when I'm able to, I'll put the clip in there. So we got P Town in the building.
Okay, P
So
Town.
we'll put the clip in there. But basically, so let me stop. Let me stop before we jump all ahead. Jumping all ahead. Did y'all share this? I think that's what I was in the middle of asking y'all to do. I was asking y'all to share this. So I'm going to share it right now. Thank you, Abigail, for sharing. Um, I'm asking y'all to do it. Let me make sure I'm doing it. So I'm going to pause for just a second and I'm going to share this. And then I got my man Phil so I have Philip Riddick with us this evening.
Me act right. Let me sit up straight. My mama taught me. Good evening.
Riddick's in the building. Fellow licensed clinical social worker. I'm going to have him introduce himself in just a second. But first, I want to share this live. And I want y'all to share. I want y'all to introduce yourselves. Tell me where you're tuning in from. Abigail said what took me out was her saying, you knew what you would get. Okay. And he did. And he loved it. Listen, Phil, her crazy didn't just show up that day. She
Mm-mm.
been
Oh yeah, it's been in there. It's deep rooted. It's in there. Like Prego, it's in there.
it's in there. It's in there. You Sonia, you didn't know anything about listen, Verizon sent me a text earlier today, and there was like about 6:30 a.m. tomorrow is when it will be fixed.
Oh
So
wow.
yeah, yeah. So uh, hopefully
Ain't
it is fixed.
ain't no Netflix for you tonight, huh?
No, no Netflix. But you know what? I need to figure out how much money I need to get back. So
Right.
what I
Hmm.
need to do, pull my Medea calculator out and get the
Look,
calculate.
you working. This is at least a month.
At
A
least.
whole month. At least.
They like, ma'am, it was just a few hours, but you
Mhm.
messed my whole show up.
That's right. Exactly.
So
You don't know who
yeah,
I am. Ask somebody about me.
that 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 part. That yes, yes, it is FiOS. So I have learned my lesson about FiOS. Okay, so I shared it. I hope that you all shared. Thank y'all for sharing. Invite your friends to come on in. Okay, so I have a special guest, and I want to have him introduce himself, and then we are going to get right into it. So, Philip, tell us who are you, and tell us all about you.
Yes, yes. Good evening, everybody. Rachel, first, let me say thank you for allowing me to intrude on your space, man. I
Oh
appreciate. I love
no,
your
thank
energy.
you.
I love your vibe. From when we met, so it's great to connect with you once again. But my name is Philip Riddick. I'm a licensed clinical social worker here in Norfolk, Virginia. Been in the field for about 15 years. Um, been licensed since 2015, so about 7 years, and I've been um, doing outpatient part time mostly throughout that time, and then I got into outpatient full time in 2019. In 2021, I opened up my own practice called Building Lives in
Whoop,
Unison.
whoop.
Yes, so I'm trying to be like RDH consulting and counseling when I grow up. So it's myself, and I have three of my supervisees as well, um, and just trying to heal the community and destigmatize
Mhm.
mental health. That's the goal.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm digging your vibe as well. He and I went to school together because you see somebody, and I'm like, yo,
Hmm.
your face looks so familiar. Where I know you from? I had to make sure
Hmm.
because I worked in corrections, so I had to make sure. Wait a minute.
Oh, yeah.
Where I
Well,
know you from?
right, right. Well, it wasn't that far back. It wasn't that far back in my history. It was once I got it together.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. So we are going to do a recap just for some people who haven't seen it. And if you haven't seen it, it's okay. We'll put the look, I'm over here still sharing. We will put I'll put the link in there and y'all will be able to see it. But basically, there is a lady, there's a mom. And so I'll start there. There is a mother and she's in her feelings and she starts her recording out by saying, I'm about to put him on blast
I'm
because
about to expose him.
everybody thinks he's a good father. I'm about to put him on blast because he keeps coming here and bringing food for his child. I think he has a son. So he keeps bringing food only for his son. And every time he comes to visit, he just brings food for his one son. And that is so wrong. How is he going to keep bringing food just for his son? He knows I got all these other kids. I think she got like 5, 6, 12 other kids. I don't know. But, how is he going to keep bringing food just for his only, just only for his son? And not taking into consideration the fact that I have other children, they're hungry too, or it's so I'm gonna put it like
Hmm.
this, Phil, and I want to hear from you. But this is
Yeah.
how I'm gonna put it, because this is how, and we're gonna talk about like what's her mindset and things of that nature. But almost like this, I don't want my other kids to feel bad when they see
Yes.
my one son's father stepping up or doing extra, and bringing because it was McDonald's, right? So we're going to get McDonald's. Y'all know that's a big, for kids, they love the McDonald's. So I don't want my other children to be slighted That's the word. I don't want my other
Hmm.
kids to feel slighted
That's right.
because this baby daddy takes care of his child. Bring at least we know McDonald's. We know at least he's
Hmm.
bringing them unhealthy McDonald's, but he bringing McDonald's for the kid. So that's just a recap. And the guy was like, the dad was like, yo, you tripping.
Right.
So she's saying to him, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, take it easy. Those are not my kids. How are you expecting me to be responsible for bringing food for the other kids? My money's not that long, and we're their fathers. Why should my child have to suffer? So the lady ends up now. This my heart started beating real fast. She
Uh-oh.
ended up taking the McDonald's from the father because the father was like, "Well, just send the kid down. Then I'll eat out here with him." She was like, "Nope." She took the food and threw the food on the ground. So just as a recap, um, so I just wanted to put that recap out there. All right, Phil. So you saw it. Your thought, just initial when you saw it.
Whew. So, all right, when I first saw it, the first thing, and this probably my LCSW hat. So every time I look at anything, you got that clinical hat on.
Yeah.
So my first thing is, yo, she is hurt. You could hear it in her voice. You could just see it in her actions. She was just so frustrated. And the low hanging fruit would be to say that she's hurt because she's not with him, or she's
Mhm.
hurt because of their relationship or whatever. But I don't even think that's it. Is she's hurt because she wants to be a good mother and feel like she's failing. Like you said, her thing that she mentioned was, he can't eat McDonald's and the other one sitting there eating, whatever.
Yeah.
So that was my first thing. Like, man, she really, we know it's a lot of mommy guilt, right?
Mhm.
The world puts so much pressure on moms, especially black moms. And so, I that's kind of what the first thing I got from is like, yo, she's trying, she's struggling, talking about, I don't get my food stamps until the
Mhm.
whenever, the 7th, 11th, whatever she said.
Mhm.
um, and so it was just that was my first reaction, just seeing how hurt she was, and how she was just expressing that internal disappointment that she feels with herself, and is like, all right, I want to make myself, I don't want to feel like a bad mom. So if I make you look bad, then that's just as good, and which is obviously that's toxic, right? But that's kind of where what I first saw when I was looking at it.
Okay. And that makes sense, right? I definitely get that piece of this is a mom, and she had obviously she's a single mom. She's trying to do the best that she can for her children,
Hmm.
and not wanting to. Um, she did. I think she did. There was embarrassment.
Yeah.
Probably there was embarrassment, maybe shame. Right? I don't get
Hmm.
my money until such and such, so I'm not able to
Right.
do extra for my other kids. It's almost like you're showing me up
Hmm.
because you're
Right.
bringing McDonald's for him, and I can't afford to do that for the rest of my kids. So you're showing me up. Now, I want to hear from the audience. What was your initial reaction? And I saw Becky Parker. Hey, Becky. Becky said it was sad and embarrassing. Sonia said she was projecting big time. It sounds like I got to see this. Can you send it to me? Yes, we will put the link. I'm not able to do. Trying to see how I can. I'll get it. I'll get it to you. The other Becky said she should be upset with herself, in my opinion, not over some GM, GMO saturated fat sodium laden.
That's right, Becky. Right.
Thank you. Abigail put it in the
Oh yeah, good
comments, so
looking
y'all
out.
can check that out. Let me. I wish I could. If I was up and running, I would be able to put it in there. Verizon gonna owe me another $100 just
Hmm.
because of this.
That's
Um,
right.
and why did she go live though? So Phil, when you saw that, and we'll get into a little bit deeper into the questions, but what was the reason in your mind that she felt that it was necessary? Because notice her wording, right? Her languaging. Everybody thinks he is a good father. I
Hmm.
am going to show the world that he's not. So
Right.
talk a little bit about, just your thoughts on that.
So yeah, and like you said, even she said that when he was there, and then even as he was pulling up, and she's already recorded,
You
she's like,
know,
I'm gonna
the low
expose
hanging
him.
fruit would be to say,
And so it's like, all right, well, clearly there's some venom there, right? And
Yeah.
that's that frustration from, like I said, I think it's a frustration from her feeling like she's not being a mom, or that her best isn't good enough.
Yeah.
Um, and so that what that did, that all reason went out the window at
Yeah.
that point. It's like, I'm going to bring you down. I'm not going to let you make me look bad in front of my kids and the
Mhm.
world.
Mhm.
Because now, you posting pictures with your kid. And I'm taking the liberty here. You
Mhm.
posting pictures with your kids, and you coming over here and spending lunch with them, and the other dads aren't doing that. So now you looking like daddy of the year, and I'm
Mhm.
struggling to make ends meet for the
Yeah.
five of us, right? And so, yeah, just like Abigail said, a lot of bitterness and selfishness, and that's unfortunate. It's real
Yeah.
unfortunate.
Yeah. When we hear, because Becky's bringing out a really good point, right? That she kept saying, I'm going to expose you. Meaning in her mind,
Mm,
there was a really strong belief that that was inappropriate for a father to do for his child and not for someone else, for the other children. Was she wrong in that? Who was wrong in this situation? Because the dad, now that was the other piece. So before we get to that, what did you notice about the man, his response, his reaction? Talk for those that haven't seen it. So Phil, talk a little bit about what the guy said and just his reaction and response, and then who was right, who was wrong, mindsets.
right. So he pulled up, and you could tell he was totally caught off guard.
Mhm.
Totally caught off guard. He's like, what are you talking about? And he even asked, what are you mad about?
Mhm.
Because he saw that, look, this is stupid right here. What you
Mhm.
saying and what you're doing, this is stupid. What's the
Mhm.
real issue? And clearly it had been going on for more than just that one day. Because
Yeah.
I think she said, or he said, one of them said, you come here every day with just something for your
Mhm.
son.
Mhm.
And so he's like, well, so he goes in problem solve mode, like, all right, bring him out to
Mhm.
the car, let's go. Me and him can eat, or whatever. Um, and so the question being, who was wrong? I guess I'll say, to quote the great philosopher and poet, Jay-Z, right? Nobody wins when the family feuds,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
the reality is nobody really wins. But if we're gonna say that, who could have done something different, I think, just the approach that she took, like you said, that she's gonna expose him.
Yeah.
If you had an issue with that, having an issue with that, you know, if she believed that to be true, like you said, right? Clearly, she believed in her heart that there's no reason that you should bring stuff for your
Mhm.
child and not the rest of these children. So the thing to do is to call him and say, "Hey, look, last couple of days you've been bringing something for your son, and the other kids been watching him eat good, and they eating peanut butter and jelly. Can you bring something for everybody? If not, you can come pick him up, and y'all go to lunch and just bring him back.
Mhm.
There's a better way to handle that situation." And that's what I think it would be. So, like I say, if I were to say that someone was in the wrong, I would certainly say that she could have took that different route and communicated a little bit better what her hurt and frustration was.
Mhm. And we're gonna talk about co-parenting, right? How you do it, the communication, the importance of communication, and so we're gonna get into that. But when we are talking about the mindset, this idea that it is wrong, for him to do for just his child and not her other children. Ladies, and I saw Rebecca said we are not all like this. Um, are there, is this a common idea that one, what I will say, I did hear a guy say, what is something like what's done for one is done for all, or something like that. So, like, if this can't be done for one child, then it doesn't get done for other children. But is that fair? Is that a no? So let's start there. Is that, and I want to hear from the audience too. But Phil, are you thinking that that is a standard belief that if this is what you do for your child, you have to do for everybody else's children, even if they are not your children?
Well, my initial answer would have been no, right? Until I saw the comments under this video. There
Mhm.
were numerous people who were saying that, hey, look, that's still his responsibility. Now, I don't know, we all are coming into a 5 minute snippet of their life, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know what was going on the weeks before, months, years before, as far as his relationship with the other kids. And so, I think that's a big piece that, that should be considered in answering that question. But I think in general, I think his responsibility is to his child. If they have decided that they're going to live their lives separately and go their
Mhm.
separate ways, unless he signed birth certificates or, I'd like to say other things that may have happened
Yeah.
before this 5 minutes of their life that we noticed. Um, unless those things were happening, I think that's his responsibility. Is his child, and that's
Okay.
the conversation that should be had, right? It's like, all right,
Yeah.
well, this is my child. I'm going to take care of my son. I'm going to do whatever. And since we're no longer together, because if he was doing for the other ones before, it's like, hey, look, if you need something, let me know. But I'm not going to look out for them first,
Gotcha.
and because he even said that, he ain't got it like that.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
and so,
Yeah. I want us to also dig in. I'm going to jump into some of the comments that the audience made, but I also want us to go back a little bit to from the dating perspective. And I think that's a question that we have, right? Like when you're dating, how does that work? Is the man supposed to be responsible? What conversation can people have, especially about expectations? But let me hear from the audience. Is this a mindset that you think a lot of women mothers have, that the person they're dating has to take care of their child, their other children, or specifically how this lady felt that if you are bringing something for your child, then it's not fair? Now, I want you to think about that. This idea that it's not fair that my other children don't get, um, if this one child does. Is that a common theme? What are your thoughts on that? I'm going to bring up Abigail's comment. She said, I don't think the dad was wrong, but he could have been wiser in how he handled it. That wasn't the first time she said that to him. So he should have just picked his child up and took him out to eat. But seeing how she acts publicly on camera, can only imagine how she's been handling the situation privately with him. And then the fact that she destroyed that part, that she destroyed the food instead of splitting the food between the kids, shows that she isn't really even concerned about the other kids
mm.
not eating. What's your thoughts about that, Phil?
Yeah, but I think that's a very valid point. But I think also in the heat of the moment, sometimes people that are hotheads, they're going to do things, just visceral reactions, just because she wants to hurt him.
Yeah.
That's what it was. It was a vendetta. She wanted to hurt him,
Mhm.
and so it's like, all right, I'm going to waste your money. If you're going to not provide, you're not going to do this thing, then I'm going to hurt you in the only way that I can, because the words weren't hurting him.
Yeah.
He was okay. He was going toe to toe back with her. So it's like,
Mhm.
all right, I'll take it. And then he was like, all right, thank you. Even in
Mhm.
that moment, he's like, all right, thank you. Gave her the
Mhm.
food, and then boom, she
Mhm.
throws it in the street. And so there's like that. That was just
Yeah.
her visceral reaction to
Yeah.
trying to get him to feel the pain that she's feeling.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, Sonia said, I don't think that that looked good on her. Makes you wonder that she cannot care for the kids, right? Someone said earlier too, Phil, that another concern or thing to look at is, ma'am, so we just gonna keep having kids and you can't take care of them, and then you're mad when one take, right? So my heart really does go towards men. Now, I love
Mm,
women, y'all know that, right? But when I see things like this, you have men, Black fathers, that are out here trying to do what they can, like they're actively involved and engaged in their children's lives, and stuff like that, like guys. But people make choices, because she
right.
said, and she hit it right on the head, you knew what you was,
You
bruh,
knew what you was getting
I
into.
had all six of these kids.
And before we made this
Okay,
last one.
and you knew how I was. You knew
Hmm.
my mindset. Her mindset doesn't change. Those are things that I always teach, especially my male clients. I talk to them about red flags, things to look for in making decisions, better choices. Abby said, those other kids are not his responsibility. If he wants to be super saver hoe and her kids bad, That's a plus, but not an expectation. He should be aware of the impact on the other kids and considerate about that. Your thoughts, Phil?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think being mindful of how it looks for the other kids, I think it is important. Like, so especially if he had any sort of relationship with them before.
Yeah.
But like, if this has been a behavior that's just been going on, and he's been, he's on his lunch break, he's like, hey, I'm gonna drop this food off and I'm gonna keep it pushing. Then there may not be room for that. It's just like, all right, in his mind, it may be, I'm lightening the load for you, because this is one less child you got to worry about feeding, right? I know you're
Mhm.
struggling. I know you ain't got it like that. So look, you use them food stamps for these other kids. I
Yeah.
got this one. We're gonna feed
Mhm.
them. As I think it was on, you said, the GMO infused McDonald's, and you get everybody else fed, and we good. So, so yeah,
Let me
it
just put
could
a
have been
disclosure. Let me put a disclosure disclaimer. These are the thoughts of the people in the audience,
right, right.
not me.
Look, if McDonald's want to sponsor me, I will totally. We're gonna have to talk about this, and we're gonna wipe this from for the slate.
Write this whole thing. I will delete this.
Right. Yes.
So when we talk about this idea, and this is us going into the questions, how might this issue show up in the dating relationship? Right, this whole idea of I have other kids, you know what you're getting into when you get with me, bruh. You see, I got 6 kids and however many other fathers, they are not actively involved. How does
Hmm.
this how might this show up? How can men handle things like this in the dating relationship? Let's start there, and then we'll kind of work our way to the co-parenting part.
Well, I think there's as with any relationship, right? Communication is the key. Once you realize that you're going to be with somebody, and that's going to be your person, then you need to have these conversations about what my expectations are, what I view my role as versus what you view my role as, and vice versa, right? Because we all come from different families. But
Yeah.
hopefully we all in different families, we in relationships, right? But that's a whole nother
Oh,
podcast.
another
We'll talk about
show.
that next time. We talk about that one another time. But yeah, we all from different families, and we saw different things coming up, and so my expectations aren't going to be the same as your expectations. And so if I know that I have children and you have children, and we're trying to figure out how to navigate this thing, that means we have to over communicate, because not only do we have to be on the same page for each other, we got to
Yeah.
be on the same page for our children now,
Yeah.
because now we're setting the tone, and being role models for what they're going to look for and expect in relationships going forward. So, if if I'm with, and I'm for me, if I'm with someone, and we're in a serious relationship, and she has a child, I'm gonna do for the child.
Okay.
I'm gonna step up. I'm gonna help out. I'm gonna do, to make sure that they're taken care of, as well as my child is taken care of.
Okay.
But not everybody is gonna see it that way. That's
Hmm.
not right. That's not wrong. That's just me.
Hmm.
And so, if that's your expectation, saying, hey, look, that what I'm looking for is somebody who can provide for all of us and be that role model, the additional role model for my child,
Hmm.
who has a father, but I'm not looking for you to be their father. I'm just looking for you to be a role model. And I think that needs to be communicated in any relationship.
Yeah. And I think that is important, right? Having that conversation up front. Like you got these other kids. That's why, so I watched this I cannot think of this lady, Kendra. So she's got this dating show, Kendra G. Kendra G. I don't know if y'all seen it, but if you haven't, go ahead. It's I like it. It's fun, it's entertaining. But she asks if how men feel about women with other children and or with having children, and so having these conversations about what is the expectation. Is it fair, and I want to hear from the men in the audience, and I also want to hear from the women. Do y'all think it's, if you get, and I don't want to use the word fair, so if you get in a relationship with the man and you have children, so this is for the ladies that have children, would you expect just the dating part, would you expect the man to pay, maybe let's say if y'all go on a date, and I've seen this
Mhm.
before, y'all go on a date and the lady's like, I got kids back at the house. Can we get some food for them? Like, is that
Mhm.
okay? Okay, Phil, is that okay? If the lady says, and I want to hear from the audience too. If the lady says, listen, I got kids. Um, this was good. This was wherever y'all went. Can you get some food for my kids too? What are your thoughts on that? Is that wrong? Is that right? Is it okay? What's your thoughts?
Not when I'm about to ask for the check, right? We done wrapped it up. We done had our dessert. We like, hey, it was a great night. Let's go ahead and head. Like, oh wait, let me get it to go. 4 piece or whatever. Nah, not with 4 piece. Let me say this. I don't be taking people where you can get 4 pieces from for dates. For the record, let me say that. I don't know
I
why
want to
that came out.
clarify.
Let me clarify for y'all. Put me out there, right? Let me get a ribeye to go or something like that, right? No, you don't be doing that in the last second. Uh, but say
It's a cheap day, you go take it to McDonald's.
look,
I just playing.
I'm cheap, but we gonna eat good. I'm cheap throwing up there, but we're gonna eat good. But I think it's not it's not totally out of bounds to say to ask, not expect. You can ask, and I would likely say yes because that's just the kind of person that I am.
Mhm.
But I can understand if for whatever reason I'm like, nah, you should have said something earlier. Should have said something before we left, or why you ain't make them some dinner before? It's late now. We'd have been out eating. You should have said something. I could have brought the McDonald's over for them, and then we could have went out to eat. uh, so me personally, I don't think it's totally out of bounds. But I can understand where the concern would be for not communicating that up front.
Okay. Abigail said, get the food, then don't ever date her again. Tuh. The fact that she can't buy her own kids' food is a major red flag. Now, Sonia said, I mean, she vocalized the need and asked versus creating an expectation. So that asking for it sounds like Sonia's kind of agreeing with you, and you kind of hit on that. I want to go back. There was a comment in here about the state of the relationship that women have with their other fathers. Listen to how she talks about them and her expectations of them. Um,
Mm.
love the over communicating advice from Phil, from Dr. Phil. That's right. This is our Dr. Phil.
Mhm. That's right. That's right. Hopefully, real Dr. Phil next year, May
Oh,
23. Let's go.
there you go. Thank
Speaking
you.
into the existence.
When you think about this idea of co-parenting, the father's role. Let's kind of start from the father, right? This whole co-parenting, it can be a beast. I made a post about that earlier. Like oh my god, it can be done very well, but it can also be um, a very challenging thing. So, talk a little bit about this whole idea of co-parenting, and in an ideal world, how would it look?
All right. So co-parenting essentially is how you both conduct the act of parenting, right? So co meaning together, and how you work together to do the parenting. And so where I come from this, so this is it because my son's mother and I aren't together. I have a son, me and his mother aren't together. And so I've lived through some ups and downs in regards to that. And so when it comes to co-parenting, I already talked about over communication because that's needed and it's hard, right?
Yeah.
The first thing I tell people in co-parenting is actually what I'm my capstone for my program is what I'm focusing on is co-parenting, right? So one of the things that I think is of utmost importance is separating your previous relationship from your parenting relationship,
Yeah.
and never the two shall cross.
Hmm.
Our previous relationship was our previous relationship. If we have issues related to that, then
Yeah.
we need to deal with that separately.
Yeah.
Our parenting relationship is something totally different. That now is paramount, right? That
Yeah.
that takes precedent over anything else in our conjoined
Hmm.
lives. And so that's where a lot of people go wrong because sometimes those things get enmeshed.
Yeah.
And some of those feelings from our previous relationship seep into the way I view our parenting relationship, good
Hmm.
and bad, right? I
Yeah.
see you with our child, and I'm like, oh, you know what? She's such a good mom. Maybe we should work it out, knowing
Hmm.
knowing it ain't working, know it ain't right, knowing we are better just knowing each other and keeping it pushing, right? or like I say, it could be for the worst, right? You
Mhm.
know, and we have millions of examples that we can give for that. So separating those two is of the utmost importance, and so setting those boundaries around
Yeah.
that as well.
That is, so I want to drive that point home, which is being able to separate the two. You have got to, because the children are in the middle. So when you are angry and frustrated because the relationship didn't work, or maybe he cheated, right? Because I work with a lot of women who are heartbroken and they're frustrated and upset with him. And because they have not yet healed,
Hmm.
they take that aggression, that frustration out on the relationship, the parenting relationship. So they make it really hard for the father to see their child, which is so trifling. Ladies, we gotta get it together. Like this, that's a no-go. And so I see that happen. And it takes a level of emotional maturity to be able to set though to separate the two. That's not all. That's not
Hmm.
always an easy thing to do. Like, I'm pissed. I don't want to see your burnt face. Think
I thought you was
about
going
around
with
the
another B
corner.
word with that. I was going. I was about to turn this podcast upside down. I know what's going on. I said, let's go. But yeah, you're right. That's real.
Yeah, and that's important. That is so important to recognize that. Listen, I still have feel. And so, okay, so when we talk about the emotional maturity, I want to kind of park there for just a second and have you speak a little bit more on this. But this whole emotional maturity, the ability to be able to say and recognize, like, yo, I still really like that dude. I didn't
Hmm.
want this thing to break up. We got this baby together. But I'm in my feelings because now he got another girl, right? Like,
Hmm.
this is what we deal with. Now he got another girl. Mm. So let's talk about that, Phil.
Yeah, and it's bound to happen, right? Because from either end, could be the
Yeah.
male, could be female, because eventually you're gonna move on. And if
Hmm.
you haven't dealt with your unresolved issues and
Yeah.
feelings from that previous relationship, then it's gonna impact your parenting relationship.
Yep.
And so if you still have those lingering feelings, what can you do? If you try to approach it, that individual, and try to see if we, hey, look, maybe we can try again, slowly but surely work our way back together. If they're not with it, you need to go talk to somebody else.
Hmm.
And somebody else may not be your mom or dad or
Yeah.
your boys or your girls. You may need to talk to a professional
Hmm.
about why you're still holding on to something
Yeah.
and someone who's made it clear that either A, they're not good for you, or B, that they don't see a future with you, and
Yeah.
why you're still in that place of not being able to move forward.
Yeah.
Because 9 times out of 10 it comes from something in the past, right? And so being able to do that, and understand and recognize, all right, I need to let this go, and I need to
Hmm.
get some help to
Hmm.
unload this from me, so that it doesn't impact my child.
Yeah.
And so I always tell people when I'm working with them on in the co-parenting aspect, I said, be able to communicate about nothing but your child.
That
Just
part.
be able to, not say be able to, because some people like, oh, you know what, we can be we such good friends, we can go hang
Yeah.
out, and we focus on the kid, which is cool. If you can do that, that is amazing. Pat
Hmm.
on the back to you. But not everybody can, and most times both people aren't going to be in the same place at the same time. And so
Yeah.
being prepared and able to solely communicate about your child is of utmost importance, because it draws that line in the sand,
Hmm.
and allows that who may still have those lingering feelings, to say, to keep things in check, and
Yeah.
say, you know what, this is my child's mother, this is my child's
Yeah.
father, and that's the extent of our relationship. That's what we're here for at this
Yeah.
point in time,
Yeah.
and
I
moving
think one
forward.
of the other things that's important too, I love everything that you said. I think it's also important to look at expectations. And sometimes we have unmanaged or unrealistic expectations of the other partner, of how things should go. So if you
Mhm.
ever hear, and this is to my ladies, this is my mom, to the mamas and the fathers, if you ever hear yourself saying, well, he should be doing this or she should be doing that, likely you're engaging in what we call cognitive distortions, thinking. And you need to really check yourself, check your thinking on that, because um, when when you have these unmet expectations, a lot of times they are not realistic, right? You're
Hmm.
expecting your baby daddy or your baby's mom to behave as if they're rational. But if they're not rational, if they are still wounded, if they still have father wounds, if they don't recognize the importance of having a father in their child's life, you you think they're going to be able to be rational and be able to calm themselves, regulate their emotions, and be able to say, okay, what is in the best interest of my child?
Right.
No. So you
Right.
need to stop. You need to get rid of that expectation.
And that's why talking to somebody is so important, because you got to unload it somewhere. You got to unload it somewhere and get some sound response and guidance on
Yeah.
how to deal with it in the moment, and not
Yeah.
just from somebody who doesn't like that other person as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Looking at some of the comments in the audience. Um, Sonia said, right, and it's stemming from somewhere, right? This behavior, these actions, this attitude, this thought process that this guy, who, like Becky says, is not even her husband, is responsible to take care of her other children. That thought process is coming from somewhere.
Hmm.
And one of the things that I really liked, Phil, was how he handled the situation. Um, he didn't cuss her out. Now, I don't recall him using, like, he didn't curse her out. He was like, first he hit her with some logic. You see that,
Yeah,
now that would make us,
that's worse.
that's what made her so mad.
That's why she wanted to hurt him, because like, look, you can't be all calm and cool, and I'm over here causing the scene. We both about to be looking crazy out here. Don't be doing this to me. And he even said, but he did say a couple times, "Look, this is stupid.
This is
This doesn't make
stupid.
sense. This don't make sense." And he's trying to hit the logic, and
Yep.
she bobbing and weaving that logic, like, she hit the matrix on him and everything. She wanted that logic. So yeah.
Oh, so you said she must have hid that side from him, or he was mesmerized. Um, what's your thoughts, Phil?
Hey, it's happened. It's hey, here, Sonya, here. Been there, done that. Understood.
And that's important to recognize that sometimes it can happen, and you need to be thinking ahead, right? What am I
Hmm.
seeing? Is this where I'm trying to be? And if not, don't even put yourself in that position to get mesmerized, stigmatized. Don't even
Hmm.
put yourself in that position, because then you don't make good choices.
That's
And
right.
hence, you got a baby mom that's throwing your food on the ground because she don't understand why you don't understand the importance
Right.
of bringing food for her other kids. Why I gotta keep telling you?
Right. Right. Now you heat it, wasted $10 on a Happy Meal, and then another $30 on gas to get there. Gas so expensive. Now you just driving mad.
That part, that part. When you are so when we're talking about setting these healthy boundaries, talking about the expectations in relationships when it comes to the co-parenting relationship, right?
Hmm.
How can we do that? How can we set boundaries? How can we set expectations? You kind of spoke earlier about like over communicating.
Right.
But okay, let's say the relationship breaks up. How do we, where's step one or the first thing? Like, what do two parents need to, okay, we've already decided that this is not working.
Hmm.
And now it's time for us to deal with the kids. What should conversation sound like? What would be useful? What needs to be covered? And then boundaries, like what kind of boundaries are needed? And how do we communicate that?
Right. And it's a loaded conversation, right? And one that probably isn't easy to have all in one sitting,
Yeah.
for the most part, right? So it depends on the people, obviously, but just having a conversation around, okay, first and foremost, what is our visitation agreement going to look like? Uh, we talk about boundaries. I shouldn't be laying up in your house all day and then just going home if we're not going to be together, right?
Mhm.
And so now, if I let's say if I I work crazy hours, or I don't have a place of my own, I'm in between or whatever, then that may be understandable and can be worked about. But by all means, we should be setting some boundaries and expectations of, okay, these are the days that you're going to come, or these are the times that you're going to come. Outside of that, just call me and let me know. Ain't no just popping up and saying, hey, I'm here.
Mhm.
We ain't together no more, so you don't just pop up. uh
So
and I
wait,
think
Phil, hold
that's
on, wait. So I can't just pop up at my old
no.
lady house. I can't just pop up.
Oh no, no, no! You can't. Hey, look, you can't even pop up if it is though. If you are the old lady, but that's also another podcast for another day. But we can, another talk for another day. But yeah, they don't just pop it up. We you call in advance, and that's because that becomes a control thing. I see and
Yes.
hear about that a lot. Now it's about controls. Like, I still have
Mhm.
this.
Mhm.
You still can't move and be comfortable in
Yeah.
your own home because you don't know when I'm gonna come.
Mhm.
Um, so that's how that conversation started. It started with the visitation first and foremost, and then when you talk about the communication, making sure that your kids are not involved in these conversations.
Talk about it.
We don't need to be The kids don't need to hear what's going on. They don't need to know
Mhm.
what's going on.
Mhm.
And anything that we do communicate or that the kid knows needs to be coming from a united front.
Yeah.
If we can come all together and have this conversation, let's come together and have the conversation. If not, they shouldn't be hearing anything different at your house than they hear at my house.
Yeah.
It should be, so we need to be on one accord, separate from the child. And that's where a lot of people go wrong. It's like, oh well, they ain't paying attention. Knowing goodness well, anybody that has kids, y'all know they will pick up the smallest thing. You can try to teach them how to
Everything.
tie
Yes.
their shoe all day, but the one time you step aside and you be like, sorry, I don't know if I'm supposed to say this, but you say, damn. And now the kid, that's all the kids say all day now.
Yes.
You're like, I wasn't even
Yes.
talking. I was in another room, and now you heard that. So yeah, so making sure that you separate that, because then, um, because when you don't create that united front, now
Yeah.
the child is one person. And I'm sure you hear it all the time as well. When I'm at my mom's house, I'm this way. When I'm at my dad's house, I'm this way. And the other parent is like, oh, I gotta retrain them when they come back to my house.
Yeah.
And so you're teaching that kid, A, to be manipulative,
Yeah.
and B, you're robbing them of their ability to learn to be authentic, because now they're in the middle and they're just being who they need to be in the environment. They never learn how to be their true selves, and never really learn who their true selves are.
Mhm. I love that. I think one of the things that's really important that you said was this idea of maturity, where we're having a conversation. I'm not trying to control you. You're not trying to control me. We're really focusing on the children, what's best for them, setting up the boundaries, and being mindful of what we are saying.
Hmm.
So, not dogging the other parent,
Right.
um, not involving the kids in this breakup has nothing to do with the children. I think you hit that right. Like, that is so key and so important. But a lot of times I see and hear where the women and the men are, your mama ain't this, your daddy
Hmm.
ain't this, you like your daddy, you ain't. Yeah.
Hmm.
Like,
You
I
make me
mean,
sick.
you
Hmm.
make me sick, you look just like your daddy.
Hmm. Hmm.
Horrible. It's horrible. So we got to do better. I'm going to go to the comments. Sonia said, how and so as far as what conversations are needed, she's saying, how can we work together for the kids, and what does it look like bringing others in our kids' life? So Phil, you get married, you have another partner, and now they are going to be connected. How can that conversation come up? Does it need to be a conversation? Is it mind your business? What I do in my house, I do in my house. Or is there a conversation necessary? What are your thoughts on that?
Conversation is very necessary, right? Because now you have someone else who's going to be not in my life, but in the child's life.
Mm,
The concern isn't who I'm with. The concern is who's around my child.
mhm,
And so I think it is appropriate for the parent, the one parent, if I'm with someone, to introduce my son's mother to her. I think that can be appropriate, and vice versa, right? Because I want to
mhm,
know who my child is around. I want to make sure that it's somebody that I feel comfortable with, and I have eyes on somebody just in case something
mhm.
going wrong. I know who to look for. But but uh not with her, with my son. But
Mhm.
either way, just making sure that I think that is very important to have that happen. But if the foundation isn't set, then of our co-parenting
Yeah.
relationship, then this is just really going to fall apart even more. It's going to make things
Mhm.
fall apart even more. And so knowing not only that we have to have this conversation, but knowing when to have that conversation. If I'm out in these streets and you get tired of it, and so you like, I'm done with you,
Mhm.
and then I come next week and be like, all right, I'm picking Johnny up, me and my new boo. Yeah, no, that ain't the time for that. We need, like I said, that foundation got to be set
Yeah.
first,
Yeah.
and then later on bringing that
I'm going
in.
to play devil's advocate. So I want to hear I want to hear from the audience. What are you all's thoughts about that, right? Like this idea of we need to have a conversation about who is going to be around my child, which means your ex's partner, you meeting them, talking to them, knowing them. Um, what are your thoughts about that? Right. So devil's advocate, looking on the other side. And I think, Phil, you hit this on the head that if the foundation is already shaky, rocky, we haven't had a conversation, we haven't been able to be mature. Um, what, what?
Hmm.
Don't worry about what is going on in this household. So for that side, right, where a person may feel like that's a form of control, where you're trying to tell me who I can and cannot date. Um, I'm an adult. This is my house. I'm gonna do what I don't tell me what to do. Thoughts, feelings about that, and just looking at it from the other side. What are your thoughts about that? And audience, I want to hear from y'all about, is that your thoughts on that whole conversation? And I'm going to pull up some of the audience things, and then I want to hear from that other side. So Brandy said, "Hey Brandy, where are you tuning in from?" Brandy said, "Heck no, you better not pop up
Bet not.
at my house. You fit to get blessed."
Right.
She said, "That's good. Grown folks' mature way of handling these types of situations, because these situations are can be challenging." Sonia said she knew what was up. That's why she overcompensated in attention seeking. Um, okay, so now listen, this is going to the whole, conversation about having a new partner and things like that. He or she should still respect the other person's position. So let's say, Phil, if you are not comfortable with your partner's partner, your ex's partner, now what? Then what?
Hmm. Then that is my business. That, because them introducing him to me is not for my approval, it's for my information.
Gotcha.
Hey, just letting this is this is the person I'm with. They're gonna be, they're moving in, or they're gonna be around. We're all gonna go out to the zoo or whatever.
Mhm,
And so just want to let you know, just want to let you know that this is gonna happen. So when he comes back talking about, you know,
mhm.
whoever, you know who it is.
Yeah.
Okay, I can hate it, I can love it, but that's all my business.
Mhm,
As
mhm.
Tabitha Brown would say.
I love that. Becky said, some people use that to control or block the previous partner's life. And I've seen that
Hmm.
where you got this other person. I don't like them. I don't want them around my child. And so now,
Hmm.
the other person is like, well, I blah, blah. And then, so that's going to always, so being mindful of that. I think what you said is really key, which is it's not for your approval, it's for your information. So if I choose to let you know, and how I'm with it, just depending on how the relationship goes, I think if it is an amicable, mature breakup, and you have two mature adults, like Brandy was saying, it is a lot easier to have these conversations,
Right.
and to be able to go about it in a way that's healthy, right?
Hmm.
um but if it's not, I'm not even, it's not, I don't want you to have any idea, consideration, or inkling that what we doing over here is what we doing over here, and I
Right.
want to make sure.
Hmm. That's right.
And Becky hit it on the head. That's the importance of being
Mm,
mindful of who you mate with. So before you lay down with these people, ladies,
right.
men, I want you to assess them. And we talk early, we always talk on our relationship Fridays about dating. When you're dating, what you're doing. This is the assessment time. You need to be looking at and seeing, how are these people? How do they flow?
Right.
How do they talk about their exes? Somebody said that earlier. All of that stuff. Brandy said, like the Kim and Kanye saga. Uh,
Mm, that was some mess there.
a mess. Quality individuals will make good life choices, partners and parenting included. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't know. That's a tough one. I got to chew on that for a minute. Quality
Mm,
individual make good life choices. I think people make mistakes. We can't expect
mm,
perfection from anybody. The reality is, sometimes we get caught up in the heat of the moment. At times when we're talking about parenting, we get caught up in the heat of the moment and we make bad decisions. Sometimes
mhm,
love makes us, make really bad decisions, or
mhm.
what we think is love makes us make very bad decisions, and I don't subscribe those bad decisions to that person being bad or of less quality.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah, I gotcha. Um, the only right you really have is to be informed. And I don't even know that that's a right, but I hear what you're saying. I'm following. I get what you're saying, unless you have a legit issue like sex offenders, things of that nature. So I think that's important.
Right.
And it's a lot of folks dealing with the aftermath of poor choices, even though they have grown and matured. So you are exactly right, Phil, that there are times where we make choices and they're not always the best choices, and sometimes you got to eat it,
Hmm.
and you live and you learn.
Yes, we
um,
do.
we didn't get to all of the questions, but I think this has been really good, right, where we are talking about this whole idea of co-parenting. This jank is and it's a jank.
Yes, it is. It's Jake, I like it. Got some Norfolk in you. I like that.
Yes. I think the other thing that is important is that when we are thinking about co-parenting, it really is important for us as the adults to
Mhm.
think about, how is this going to impact my child, right? Because at the end of the day, as the parent of that child, that's what is most important, right? So being able to put your feelings, your thoughts to the side, what's best for my child in this situation, and how can I move forward doing that. um, Last thoughts, feelings, comments, Phil, and then if y'all have questions real quick, put them in and we'll have Phil answer them. But Phil, your thoughts, last thoughts.
Yeah, I like that last statement that you made, about how important that is. Um, not only that, but the comparison, right? Not having to feel like I have to do better. I got to one up, right? Because that's something else you see is where, it's like, all right, oh well, your mom took you to the zoo. Well, I'm gonna
Mhm.
take you to Disney World. And now, it's all about, if we're talking about the kid is the center of everything.
Yeah.
What does I heard Charlemagne say one time? Comparison is the thief of joy, and that is so true. If we aren't
Mhm.
allowed to let that person be them, and now we live our lives, we be the best individual that we can to come together and provide that child with the best life we can, then we're failing. We all failing as a family. So
Mhm.
just kind of being mindful of that.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. So listen, Philip Riddick, licensed clinical social worker. He is owner of Blue. Nope, I'm about to mess it
It
up. Go ahead.
No, you got it. It's Blue Hills, but Blue stands for Building Lives in Unison. Uh, so yeah, you got it.
Listen,
Blue Hills Mental Health Services.
yes. If you all are looking for therapeutic services and supports, this is a Black male. There are not a lot of Black men in the field doing therapy. So
Mhm.
connect with him. Phil, how can they get in contact with you?
You can follow me on Instagram at Blue Hills BLU_HEALS underscore Blue Hills, or you can reach me on my website buildinglivesinunison.com.
Excellent. Look, Sonia said, "Where was he when I was looking? He
I
was
was
hiding. We didn't know him." See, that's
I,
why you got to bring these. Hey, Chris. Chris said, "What your ex has a child that you were in their life since they were little, and you still have a relationship with that child and find another partner. Would you have to let your ex meet?" Phil, talk about that a little bit, right? This whole idea of um, this is not your child.
hmm
And but you've connected with this child and you've built a bond, and now the relationship is over, but you'd like to maybe still connect with the child. Your thoughts on maybe how that conversation can sound or what can be done in that, just your idea, your thoughts on that.
Yeah, Chris, that's a good question. And I would say that that doesn't have to change. Whether it's your biological child or not, if you've played that father or mother role in their life for however many years or whatever period of time, and you are somebody who they want in their lives and you want them in your life, that's okay. That just has to go back to having that grown up conversation with that parent that, what, I still want to be in this person's life. And so as I was when we were together, I will continue to treat them as if they are my own.
Yeah. And I think that's the important part, right? Where it's if there's positive relationships, can we continue to let this person in their life? Like, can we get outside of our feelings and allow this person to have connection with the child?
Yeah.
Um, I don't know legally. I'm not an attorney, so but I'm interested if you could petition the court for visitation, especially if this is your ex, like you all were married or something of that nature, especially when you do divorce proceedings.
Right.
Those are certainly things that you can ask, you can bring up before the court. So just know that there may be some recourse that you have so that you can still have a connection in that child's life, but having that conversation with the mother is going to be important. So good question. Any last question before we hop off? Anybody have another quick question that you want to ask before we hop off? Sonia said, "I saw his profile. Uh, you enjoyed the conversation. Good, 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 good. We have enjoyed it as well. This has been another wonderful Relationship Friday. Thank you so much, Phil, for
No,
coming.
thank
I
you.
didn't shorten your name like we friends.
No,
Phil.
we
We
like
friends
that.
now, Phil.
That's what we are. We family. We forget them friends. We family.
Okay.
Invite me to the cookout.
Becky said, "Thank you for sharing." Thank you all for
Yes,
sharing
thank
your
you.
Friday evening with
Yes,
us.
yes.
Make sure you come back next Friday. We are going to be live and having another great conversation. For the men, we have our men support group. We are going to be resuming that on Tuesday, next Tuesday at 7 p.m. We are virtual. So connect with us via Facebook or our website, www.rdhcounseling.com. For those of y'all who are looking to learn how to incorporate your spirituality and using that as healthy coping because you're stressed and there's a lot going on, connect with us on Wednesdays. Starting next Wednesday, as a matter of fact, we are going to be starting our next group. It's an hour long virtual. You don't have to leave the comfort of your own home. Connect with us. We would love to support you. And we appreciate all of the support. Thank you, Sonia. So you all be blessed. Have a great night. And we will see you back here next Friday. Thank y'all. And